Webinars. You have heard this word a lot of time. Every other minute you can see an ad where you are sold to join to a webinar. And webinar marketing is the most dominant form of marketing today. Why the whole edtech industry and the educational industry is continuously using webinar marketing to promote and build their business. Let's decode and find the answers of why it is so powerful and how you can build your own webinar marketing strategy that will help you to scale your business to the top. Let's jump right into the video. So let's start with why webinar marketing is so powerful. Webinar marketing is powerful because of only two reasons. Webinar marketing is the only form of marketing where you can build personal connection and build trust. That is the most powerful value proposition of webinar marketing. In webinar marketing, you can sit together, discuss the topic in the webinar and show how skillful you are in the topic, and you build the trust among your audience. That's the most powerful thing that webinar marketing offers, and that's why webinar marketing has grown to this massive extent. Now let's move and understand how you can create a great webinar marketing strategy. So to create a great webinar marketing strategy, you need to answer three important questions. Number one, what's your audience pain? You need to understand that what is the most painful thing that your audience is suffering and how you can solve them and give them a great solution to that problem through your webinar. Now to structure it, I will give you two important questions to know what is the most important pain point of your audience. So let's start with the first question which you need to ask in order to understand what's your audience pain point. That is, what is the most important goal they wanted to achieve? If you are a JEE or NEET teacher, the most important goal they wanted to achieve is write the answer and save maximum time for revision. If you can make them understand how to write answers with efficiency in JEE exam, they will join your webinar because that's the goal. If they get more time to check the answers, then they will be very happy about it. Then the chances to write more correct answer will increase drastically. So that's the most important pain point they have right now. And if you can provide a solution to it in a webinar, they will join your webinar. So that's the most important thing you need to understand. What is the most important goal? Now, the second question is, what is the knowledge gap in the existing system? Why no one else is teaching something like that? How I can design something which will fulfill the desire of that audience. Once you know both the things, you are good to go to build a great webinar. So this is the first step. So we answered the first question, what your audience want. Let's move to the second question, how to plan the value. So this is very important. How much value should I give in the webinar? So that's a question which is very important. How you are going to position your webinar. What is the level of your webinar is? Is it a very beginner level webinar or if it is an advanced level webinar? All those things you have to determine because that's how you can find the value positioning for your webinar. To position your webinar, you have to answer three fundamental questions. Number one, who is teaching me? This is very important. If that person has already accomplished something, he is a great teacher, he is someone who is very experienced in that field, all these things matter. What is the immediate benefit of that webinar? Is there something that I am going to get immediately? Suppose if I join a webinar today to learn digital marketing, instantly I will learn digital marketing. I will not learn everything, but I will learn a lot of concepts and I can start applying on it. So that's the immediate value, what you are going to get immediately. And what I can achieve in long term. If I join this webinar, I will clear my basics in digital marketing. Then I can move on to learn more things and understand the flow in which I should go and learn digital marketing. That's the long-term goal I can create if I join the webinar. So this is how you need to position your webinar so that people get interested. So let's move to the third and the most important point. How I am going to promote my goods or services on the webinar. That's the most tricky part. And you have to be very clever about how you position your product, how you sell your product in a webinar. You cannot just go out and directly say, hey boss, you have joined the webinar, now buy my product and go. That's not the case. So there are three basic models to do it. One is trust and test webinar. So what is trust and test webinar model? It is quite simple. Number one, trust building, where someone comes to the webinar and you give them a value packed lesson, where you try to show them testimonials, where you try to show them all the examples who have achieved a lot of great things by joining your webinars and all. Try to motivate them and hype them up and build the trust that okay, this person or this organization is the best organization to go with. That is what you do in that. Then the taste, what is the type of teaching you do, what is the quality of teaching you give. When you do the webinar, when you do the presentation, show them how experienced and how expert you are in your field and how quick you can give them the results if they join with you. And at the end of the webinar, once they have built up the trust and have got the taste of the type of course or the type of learning you can give, you share them a micro ticket product. So what's a micro ticket product? If your course is of 50,000 rupees, you share a 10,000 rupees course bundle with them and then constantly move on. Once they complete the 10,000, you share a 25,000, then you share the rest, and that's how you package the whole 50,000 into the deal. So that's what you can do in trust and taste model of webinars. Let's move to the next model of webinar. The next model of webinar is help and branding webinar. In this kind of webinar, you don't sell anything, you just help people and do your branding. What we are doing right now, we are not selling you anything. What we are doing is that I'm giving you this video to watch and learn, and instead we are getting branding. So that's one of the most effective kind of webinar that you can create, where you genuinely help people and give them a great valuable lesson, and in return you just want the branding of your brand. That's it. This is the second model of help and branding model webinars. Let's move to the third type of webinar model, which is hook webinar model. What is hook webinar model? In this webinar model, we create a very nice mini version of our course and market it to the people in the form of workshops, where we take 2 or 3 days and give them a very nice crisp idea about one module of the many modules of that course and get them hooked to our course. Once they go through that module, they are very enticed to learn what's next, and you give them a sneak peek to go out and check more. Then we retarget them with our main course, which is a much expensive product, and then once they know that okay, this is the kind of learning I have achieved from the webinar, just think what I can achieve if I take that course, they instantly go and buy your course. This is the hook model of webinar, where it works very best, where you don't sell upfront but you sell the course later on through your remarketing strategy. So these are the three most important model how you can promote your course and sell it. Hey, congratulations, you have already learned how to create a great webinar for your brand. So let's move to how to promote your webinar. Webinar promotions are very tricky. You cannot spend a lot of money without knowing what is the actual ROI you can achieve from a webinar, because there are few factors that you have to define very accurately to understand how much you can spend on a webinar marketing. Let's discuss those points. Number one, what is the actual value of your webinar for your each student? So this is what you need to understand, that is that webinar I am 100% sure that is going to be very valuable for the audience that I am sharing with, and if it is, then we move to the next question. What could be the expected ratio of conversion? If this is the most important pain point of my audience, what I can expect a conversion ratio of, that if 10 people are joining my webinar, will 2 of them convert or not? This is very important to predict. If you can't predict, run few demo webinars and check the conversion ratio. That's how you need to understand and define it in the initial days. Then you need to also figure out what is the average order value the person who is coming from the webinar is going to place, and what is the lifetime value of the audience. If you don't have these two things clear out, that how much average money he is going to spend with me and what is the long term, what is the lifetime value of that audience, If you don't know that, don't spend unnecessary money on advertising. What I would suggest you is that build an organic presence, promote the webinar through organic means in the initial days, understand the conversion ratio with small groups, and if the conversion ratio is good and the average order value is also decent, move to paid advertising and amplify the results. That's what you can do in order to run a very successful webinar marketing strategy. So this is it. We are good for the day. You have learned how to create a webinar and you have also learned how to market the webinar. Congratulations. We at Teach Edison hope that you have more success. And in the camera you can only see me, but a lot of people work for these videos. So make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to show all of them that you love their effort. With that, see you in the next video.